Hi, so with Star Wars Episode 8, I couldn't help think about a few things, a little bit baffling, some of which I have had to think about and I've come up with a few ideas. So I'm going to go over those in a weekly series. But what I'm going to talk about, because it concerns the event of Star Wars Episode 8 and it's not been out for that long, I'm going to be assuming people watching this video have either seen it or don't care about spoilers, because that's what's coming. If that's not the case, you need to stop watching now, put it on your watch later list, wait till you've watched the film. So, this is all about Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, he was surrounded in mystery during Episode 7, then without any hints at all to who he is or what he is during the events of the previous films. I mean, where was he during Episodes 1 to 6? All that needs explaining. In Episode 8, we had him suddenly killed off, apparently. Now, even given that there were some plot disasters in this film, there's no way it was as simple as that. Zero way. The conclusion is simple. Snoke is not dead. That's just screwing with the audience. No way he's dead. Now, when I was getting ready to watch the film, I didn't watch the film as soon as it came out. I wanted to wait for crowds to die down a little bit. I did see the odd video on YouTube, which of course I steered clear away from clicking on, sort of saying, is Snoke Valkorian? And Valkorian, sometimes known as Vitiate, is an emperor from thousands of years ago who was known for basically being virtually unkillable, because whenever he destroyed his physical form, his spirit would simply move into another host. In that way, he could effectively live for a very long time indeed, but he hasn't been in the picture for a long time now. I don't think that that's the explanation. And it's not just that I don't think Snoke is Valkorian, I don't think he's even using the same technique. And the explanation for this is Luke Skywalker's actions at the end of the film. Now, I thought there were a few clumsy plot devices in Episode 8. I've not shied away from that in my review. And I think this was another one of them. So at the end of Episode 8, Luke Skywalker comes through the Rebel base. We assume at this point, or I assume, that he's arrived in his X-Wing. Rey saw the X-Wing on the island, submerged albeit, but maybe still usable, I don't know. I mean, the X-Wing have survived being in the Dagobah swamp and still flew. Maybe it can survive being years underwater. I have no idea. In fact, I did actually imagine when Finn is trying to aim himself down the barrel of that gun, that in actual fact what was going to happen to save him, because we knew Finn wasn't going to die, the film doesn't have the balls to kill people, is that Luke Skywalker was going to screaming along in his X-Wing and fire down the barrel himself, just like at the end of A New Hope. But that's not what happened. He walks through the Rebel base, says his goodbyes, and then faces off against Kylo Ren. After a short exchange, it looks like a copy of Episode 4, where Kenobi allows Vader to run him through, says something like he's going to become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. We sort of have a sister scene to that. Goes through him, we imagine we're just going to turn back and see Luke's cloak fall to the ground. That's not what happens, he's still there. He's still there. Another very short exchange, wink of the eye, and then he disappears. We see that Luke is back on the island. His robes now do collapse. Now, couple of things about this. First of all, the idea that a powerful Force user can project illusions across great distances is not unheard of in the expanded universe, but is unheard of in the Star Wars films. As such, this is like the filmmakers introducing the audience to this concept, because otherwise what sense does it make? Luke is now still dead. His robes did still fall down. He became one with the Force. What on earth was the point of the projection stuff? There was a plot device that wouldn't have been questioned too strongly, that easily could have had him go to that planet and to face off against Kylo Ren for real. Why do the projection? The answer to me seems obvious. That's what Snoke was doing. We didn't see him in the flesh in Episode 7. Well, we knew that. But nor did we in Episode 8. Where, again, going back to the literature a little bit around the films, we sort of know that Snoke projects himself as being grander than he really is. So we, even without it being in the films explicitly, if you read the books on the films, we know that he does project himself and exaggerate himself at least. And I don't think what we saw in Episode 8 was Snoke at all. I think it was a projection and not from where he was. In actual fact, it was just an avatar he was controlling from afar. Now, some may point to the look of surprise on his face when the lightsaber cuts him in two, but I don't think that's what it was. I think it was much more likely just a very much more corporeal projection than Luke presented. I mean, the projection that Luke presented had to be more than a simple holograph. It had to convince Kylo Ren. It had to be real. The sound when he was talking had to appear to come from that as well. But what Snoke was presenting was obviously much more substantial. So what I think we saw on his face when the lightsaber came through was simple pain. He felt the pain of that avatar, but he was otherwise unharmed. Now, further evidence for this, at least in my mind, you let me know what you think in the comments below, is that I see no way Kylo Ren could have tricked Snoke in the way we're supposed to believe. Kylo Ren has appeared to be a relatively weak Force user. Even Snoke is full of disdain for him in this film. He's outplayed at every step by a completely untrained Rey, who herself wasn't even a close match for her encounter with the Snoke Avatar, as I might call it. There is no way Snoke was caught out. Finally, it doesn't make sense that Snoke wanted Kylo Ren to kill Rey. Just because she wouldn't turn when first presented doesn't mean she couldn't be. She is clearly the more powerful Force user. She has developed a connection to the dark side of the Force. But more about that in a future video. And she would make a much better apprentice than Kylo Ren. No. Snoke knew what he was doing and was in no danger at all. All that happened did so according to his plan. But we'll have to wait for episode 9 to see exactly what that plan is. But I have no doubts whatsoever that during episode 9 we will find out that Snoke is absolutely fine and dandy and that he was simply projecting himself for whatever ends. So that's what I think has happened, but I'm sure there are other ideas out there as well. If you've got your own thoughts or even objections to my theory, then please let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And until the next time,
the Force will be with you, always.